Hi guys, how you all doing? Some news stories for you, some new cars. And first up, a French family cruiser that's charged up to grab some of that electric car market share that's really becoming the thing right now. Plus, a reborn British roadster also going electric. And we also have an updated luxury SUV, that's the second Brit, and we've got three Brits. The third one is actually a reborn legend that isn't quite what it seems. More on that in a minute. Before we get into that, make sure that you subscribe to this channel, youtube.com/brown car guy. Make sure you follow me on all of the social media. That's just search for hashtag brown car guy. That's on Instagram, Twitter and Facebook, and of course subscribe to browncarguy.com. Right, let's get into this. First up is the all-new Citroen C4. C4 gets bigger and bigger all the time. It's no longer a hatchback. It's more like a crossover SUV thing. Stylish though. It looks good. It harks back, I think, to like the classic DS kind of shape about it. They've used the Citroen double chevron logo motif. You can see that in the DRLs, the daytime running lights at the front, and also in the tail graphics as well. That's pretty cool. But this car is all about comfort and practicality, and that's what Citroen are really keen to emphasize. So they focus on space. They focus on very nice seats specifically designed for the car. They focus, of course, on their own Citroen hydraulic cushion, Citroen progressive hydraulic cushion suspension system, which is very, very good. And they're emphasizing little features like, for example, certainly they have the autopilot system, which is of course set it and leave it on a motorway, although you technically shouldn't take your hands off the wheel, and stuff like, for example, there's a little shelf that comes out of the passenger side of the dashboard that can hold a phone or a tablet so they can view that whilst they're on the move. Of course, the big story about this car is not all of that. The big story, of course, is the fact that there's an AC4, which is a 100% electric version. Now, currently we're looking at about 6% of the market is electric. This, they reckon, for the Citroen C4 range, they reckon it will account for 8 to 10% of their range, and they're prepared to go higher if there's more take-up, as some suggest there might be. So that's pretty good. Now, this electric motor is a 100, and I should just tell you, first of all, you will get petrol and diesel versions as well. The petrol version is from 155 brake horsepower engines. Diesel will range from 110 to 130 brake horsepower. So back to the electric motor, 100 kilowatts, about 136 brake horsepower, 260 newton meters of torque. That will give it a 0 to 62 time of 9.7 seconds. That doesn't sound like a lot, nor does the 93 miles per hour or 150 kilometers per hour top speed. But again, this car is not about performance. It's not doing that. It's all about comfort and practicality. As such, it'll give you a 217 mile range. That's 350 kilometers. And they say that it will charge 80% in 30 minutes from a fast charger, or take about 8 hours at home if you have one of those 32 amp wall boxes. The battery itself will come with a warranty for 8 years, 100,000 miles. Now, they haven't revealed prices for this car yet, but they're expecting it to go into production at the end of the summer. So deliveries are expected towards the end of this year. So as soon as we get more detail, or I get more detail, I'll pass that on to you. So that's the French car done. Let's move on to the Brits. So first of the Brits is the Bentley Bentayga, the big SUV. It's got an update. Love it or hate it, it's doing really well for Bentley. They've sold 20,000 of these since they introduced them for model year 2016. Now, honestly, I've always struggled with the car, particularly with the looks, but until I drove it, I actually drove it on a car event in Russell Khaimah down the Jebel Jais mountain road. I drove it down a road. It's a long mountain road, very steep, lots of switchbacks and turns, and I was absolutely blown away by how good the handling was on this car and how well it did on those roads. I was not expecting it, and in fact it was actually kind of fun. So since then, I changed my mind about it a little bit. So that's how I felt about it. However, I like it even more now because I do think they have redesigned it and made the looks a little bit better. They brought it closer in line to the gorgeous new Continental GT. So the grille is bigger, it's more upright. And now they've got those headlights, the same like in the Continental GT, with the sort of cut crystal effect that they've got in the lights. They have also redesigned the fenders at the front to make them look wider, whilst at the back the track actually is wider by about 20 millimeters. It's quite a bit actually. There's a bigger spoiler, there's redesigned side vents and new wheels. But I like the best part of it is the rear, because they've done this concave design treatment to the back and added the oval tail lights and the oval exhaust, just like the Conti GT. I think it really works on this car. Inside, they've also done a few clever things. I don't know how, but they've managed to find a 100mm increased knee room in the back. But the main thing is, of course, they've got rid of all the old infotainment system, which was really dated now, and they've updated it to the whole new one that's in the Conti GT. Most importantly, a NIME sound system with 20 speakers and 1,780 watts. And I've tried the sound system in the Conti GT, and it is one of the very best. Europe no longer gets the W12, so we will get the 4-litre twin turbo V8, still 540 horsepower, no changes really mechanically, and I think later on the V6 plug-in hybrid will also be added to the range. So check this out, the AC Cobra is back, and this time it's electrified, but don't worry, there is a petrol or an ICE internal combustion engine version as well. As a petrol engine, it's a 2.3 litre 4-cylinder EcoBoost is taken out of the current Mustang. So let's talk about the car first. It looks exactly the same as it did. They're only making 58 of the electric versions and 58 of the petrol versions, and 58 because it's been 58 years since the first production AC Cobra in 1962. This one looks exactly the same. It's almost built exactly the same. It's got the same ladder frame chassis in it as well. And for the electric car, that's obviously been modified a little bit for the electric battery and components and stuff like that. It also gets uprated steering and brakes, and the body is constructed of composite. Now, for the electric car, it accelerates from 0 to 62 miles per hour in 6.7 seconds. It's got 230 kilowatt of power, and it's got a range of 150 miles. The whole thing weighs about 1250 kilograms. Now, deliveries for that car will start in the last quarter of this year, they're claiming, and suggested retail price for that electric version is £138,000. It's a bit expensive, I know, but that is quite a unique thing. So classic AC Cobra, but with modern drivetrain. However, if you want something a little bit more traditional and cheaper, then you can go for the AC Cobra 140 Charter Edition. Again, 58, like I said, only will be made, and that of course gets the 350 brake horsepower petrol engine from the Mustang. It weighs a little bit less, 1100 kilograms. It's a little bit quicker, 0 to 62 in 6 seconds, and like I said, a little bit cheaper, £85,000. Form an orderly queue. And finally, here it is, the all-new Land Rover Defender that's not actually a Land Rover. In fact, it's not even a Defender. It is, in fact, actually, believe it or not, the INEOS, I think I pronounced that correctly, it's actually INEOS Grenadier. And basically, it is an all-new car. And if you're thinking it looks like a Defender, you're not wrong. And I think that is actually very, very deliberate, because what's happened is, as the new Defender now has gotten posh, it's gotten a bit more expensive, it's now monocoque instead of a body-on-frame construction. It's one of those cars that actually you don't necessarily want to mess up and scratch and all the rest of it. So INEOS reckon that there is now a gap in the market where the old Land Rover Defender used to live, as a workhorse. So things like, working in farms, working in industry, working with the military, working in rescue services, stuff like that. So they think that there's an opportunity there for a new vehicle. So here it is, #Grenadier unwrapped, and that's pretty much all you're getting. It's just an exterior design that they have now revealed of the car. They haven't revealed any interior pictures, but I do hope that they have addressed space and packaging issues, which were a little bit of a downside of the Defender, particularly for me. With my long legs, I found the Defender very uncomfortable over long periods of time, so I hope they've addressed those issues in that car. But there is also going to be a pickup version, again, because of the fact that it's an old school construction. You can chop and change and do things with it. That's probably one of the plus points. Also a plus point will be that it'll get BMW sourced petrol and diesel engines, and they are planning to basically put 1.8 million kilometers of test mileage on this vehicle over the course of the next 12 months, with a view to putting it on sale towards the end of next year. No prices or anything have been revealed, but we reckon about from £40,000 when it goes on sale. And it's actually going to be made, it's going to be produced in Portugal, with final assembly here in Wales. It's a very interesting project, and expect to see them out and about, because now one of the things, the reasons that they've disclosed the design is so that they can test it without any disguises. So for those of you watching in the Middle East, expect to see it around there on the roads and in the desert. So I'm looking forward to having a go in that as well at some point in the future. Should be very, very interesting. That's there. The Wrangler is there. The new Defender is there. And of course, don't forget the Bronco. So it's going to be quite an exciting time in the coming years for off-road enthusiasts. Anyway, there's your lot. Thanks so much for watching. Hope you enjoyed that. Leave your own opinions, comments, views above, below, elsewhere, wherever you can. Make sure that you're subscribing to this channel, youtube.com/Brown Car Guy. And also don't forget to follow me on all social media. Just search for hashtag Brown Car Guy. That's on Instagram, Twitter, Facebook, and of course subscribe to browncarguy.com. If you enjoy these videos and if you can support me, then go to patreon.com/Shazad Sheikh, and there you can support me, and you'll also find some exclusive content there. If not, please continue to like, share, comment, all the rest of it. That's much appreciated, and I'll see you again in the next video.